Welcome back, people, to another episode of The Underdog, where we provide an opportunity for talent to be seen and heard. But this is a judge-free zone, but just know you will be judged by the people. But you know what? I don't do this alone. Shiny Stiletto, where you at?
What up, Chris?
What's going on with you? What's going on with you?
I'm good. How you feeling?
I'm all right. Today on this beautiful day, because supposedly Joe Biden brought the summer back.
That's what I heard. I'm gonna enjoy every day of it.
Shout out to my man Kid Star, man. He's a funny dude, man. Funny dude.
Even when you look at Perfect Strangers with Balky and Larry, and he's throwing him all over the place, and they're falling and doing
Standing tall.
It is like, I was like, this is amazing. I just started to notice that.
Rise and fall. Raised by dreams.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Wonder when in haze I'm bound for better days. My life and my dreams, and nothing's gonna stop me now. Let's bring in Mr. Jon Hamm after our little concert here.
That was very being introduced into the studio. Thank you very much.
How you doing, brother? How you feeling?
Very well, thank you, Grizz. Good to see you. It's been too long.
Good to see you too, man. It's been a long time. I haven't seen you since the awards.
It's been a minute. Tony, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, John. Excited to have you here.
Happy to be here. Here, I'm in Detroit. I'm in a beautiful beige hotel room.
Nice.
Other than that, it's nice. I'm working. So what can I say?
So what you working on? If you can disclose that information.
Yes, I can. I'm working on a film with the lovely and talented Steven Soderbergh. We're up here making a movie that takes place in the 50s in the Detroit auto industry.
Okay.
Starring one Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro, David Harbour, Ray Liotta, myself. We got a great cast. It's a cool project. We're just about finishing up, but it's been cool. I've never been to Detroit. It's a very cool city.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing there.
You'd be surprised, man. You could say that maybe 8-9 years ago, but
they changed it.
It's come back quite a lot. Yeah, it's bounced back in a real way, and
that's good to know.
It was interesting to be here during the election for sure, because everywhere is interesting during an election, but especially this year.
Yeah, were you nervous out there during the craziness?
Well, when they decided they were going to kidnap the governor, I was a little nervous, but other than that, no, it was fine. It was great here. Everyone was honking horns and happy, and
they wasn't searching for me, so
fine.
In the clear.
So how you been holding up in the pandemic?
Pretty good, man. It's like I've been talking a lot about it with various people about what it is, because nobody knows what it is. It's never happened in my life or my dad's life or anybody's life. Like it's just all unknown, and I've been trying to kind of work through it in a way where you just go, well, okay, it is what it is, and it's a bummer, and it's devastating for a lot of people, and it's sad, and we've lost a lot of people, and so what do? You try to find gratitude or gracefulness in any way that you can, and that's kind of been my operating principle, is just think about, okay, well, we're all going through it, and it's not just people in New York, LA, Detroit, wherever. It's everyone in the world. We're all
everybody's going through it,
and you got to try to find something that you can be grateful for. So look, I got a job, and I'm okay, and I'm trying to help with whoever else can benefit from that, and then you do the best you can.
Well, are you an extrovert or an introvert, or a little mix of the two?
Kind of a mixture. I mean, I gotta say, like, first couple months, I was like, I'm fine. Being inside. You know what I mean? Right. I think everybody was like, it's kind of like a vacation, I guess.
Right.
But after a while, we all miss that. We miss that connection. We miss seeing people. We miss going to the places we go, you know, whether it's a bar or restaurant or what have you. You miss it, and because you've had it your whole life, and now it's gone, and you know, for this indeterminate amount of time. So who knows? But yeah, it's been interesting, as we all know, to say the least, and the politics of it has obviously been weird too. And I don't know. It's I'm like I said, I try to wake up every morning and go, okay, what am I happy? What am I thankful the most thankful about today, and then move from there.
But you know what I missed the most? I missed movie theaters. You know, I miss that the most.
Or music or anything. I'm in Detroit. Like, there's so many great places that I could go see music that are all closed. You know, jazz clubs and music clubs and the architecture. I just had dinner tonight. Shout out to the London Chop House, which, by the way, is, if you ever get to Detroit, go there. But it's this beautiful old restaurant that's recently in under new ownership. But you know, it's been here since the 30s or whatever. You know, and on a normal day, even on a Monday, it would be packed with people, and you could meet people and talk about whatever. And there's a piano guy playing, and so tonight there's probably 9 people in there, but it was still a lovely night, and you know, everyone's in masks and whatnot. But there's another thing. It's just, it is what it is. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, understandable. But didn't you go back to your hometown to save the arts or the theater arts there in St. Louis?
We couldn't do it. We couldn't do it in real space, but we did it kind of virtually. So I did this. I helped out with this guy from my hometown of St. Louis. And by the way, thank you, Grizz, for throwing on that jersey. I appreciate it. What number you got on?
I think 10, I believe. I got to look at the back. I love the colors. I know this is your hometown, so I was like, you know what? Let me throw this on for the.
If I was in my house, I'd join you. It's a good looking logo. But yeah, I got my start in small professional theaters in St. Louis, and obviously, as you mentioned, Grizz, and movie theaters are one thing that we all miss, but live theater too. You know, it's Broadway's taking a hit, but even more so, the small community theaters are really taking a hit, and it's not just the actors or the directors or the musicians or what have you. It's like my sister used to volunteer at the local community theater, building sets and designing costumes and whatnot, just helping out, and she loved it. And there's so many other people that aren't professionals that get some kind of enjoyment or interaction or community awareness, really, for being in the theater, and it's gone, you know, for right now. And so we raised a bunch of money to at least keep the lights on in some of these theaters and pay people something. And so it was very successful. And in fact, it was so successful that we're trying to expand it out into other cities. The next one we're going to do is Atlanta, which has a very cool, like, burgeoning community theater presence as well. And obviously a lot of famous people come from Atlanta too, and all the Marvel things are down there. So, you know, it's worthwhile, and hopefully it will be a thing that kind of leapfrogs from town to town, and you know, it's very cool.
Okay, so how did you get your start leaving from St. Louis into the big league in the acting and becoming King Cameo?
It was an interesting path, you know. I think, like all of us, it's you never know. Once you start, you never know. There's no roadmap, right? They don't give you the thing at AAA where you go, okay, I'm going to go from here to here, and then Chattanooga to Tulsa to Paducah, Kentucky, and then eventually I'm going to end up in Florida or whatever. You don't get that thing. You get you put yourself in a position that maybe you can succeed to the next step, if that makes sense. So
perfect sense.
My thing was, like, I graduated college with an English degree. I had a scholarship in the theater, did a bunch of plays and stuff, and I realized that's probably what I wanted to do, but I had no money and I had nothing. So I came home I went to Mizzou in Columbia, Missouri, and I came home to St. Louis, and I was like, well, first step, I need money. I need a job. So I got a job working in a restaurant, and I made a bunch of money, and I saved some money, and then I had another year that I knew I was gonna have to continue to make some money. So I went back to my old high school and I said, is there anything I can do to teach, to help, to like do anything, to give back, whatever? And they said, you know what, it's interesting. You could actually use your sort of theater experience, and we need another theater teacher. Why don't you do that? And I said, I'd love to. That's why I'm here. And so they gave me the opportunity for a year to teach 8th grade through 11th grade, you know, basic theater skills and public speaking, improv, all this stuff. And it was a blast. And at the end of the year, they said, would you like to come back? We really liked you. The students really liked you. The faculty really liked you. You're one of us. You know, would you like to do this? And I said, well, here's the thing. I was 24, about to turn 25 at the time. I said, if I don't go now to try this, I'm going to probably regret it for the rest of my life. So I said, I'm going to have to say thank you, but no. And I'm going to see what I can do in this industry. And I basically like turned my car, pointed it west, and went to LA to see what I could do. And only 3 years later, I got my first job acting. So it was like, I wasn't an overnight sensation by anybody's metric, but it was a perfect example of like, you gotta like take at least the first step before you can take the next 10.
You got to take a leap.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So like with, you know, all the jobs and things that you have, did you give yourself like a time limit? Like, if I'm not doing this by this age, just forget it, I'm moving on? Or were you like, you know what, this is what I've always wanted, I'm sticking to it no matter what?
I said to myself, I was 25 when I first hit LA. I was like, if I'm not making money doing this by the time I'm 30, 5 years is a long time. It's not a long time when you look back on it.
Mm-hmm.
When you kind of extrapolate into the, I mean, think about the last 4 years. A lot can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I said to myself. I was like, a lot can happen in 4 years. I'm going to give myself 5. It's a round number. If I'm not making money, if I'm not paying my bills by the time, and it wasn't like if I'm not a megastar, if I'm just not paying my bills by the time I'm 30, then I'll go back home and I'll do something else. Like, you know, not for nothing, you need a lot of like luck. You need a lot of like intangibles to be successful in this, and sometimes you don't get it. And if that's the case, you got two choices. You can stick it out and slowly get older, and your opportunities dwindle, and it becomes a different struggle, or you can pivot. And so that's what I said. And I remember, I'll never forget it. I turned 30 on the set of my very first movie that I ever did with Mel Gibson and a bunch of actors. That it was a 6-month job that I made more money on than I had in my life up to then. And
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I think I'm okay.
So in that 5 years that you gave yourself, you didn't land no other roles, and then at your 30th birthday, you hit that one.
I worked I waited a lot of tables, and I bartended a lot. But then by the time I was about 28, I think, I got my first job. And it was guest star on the D.L. Hughley show.
Nice.
I was like the crazy white neighbor. And and that turned into this and turned into that. And then I got another thing, and I started getting, you know, the wheels started to get some traction. And so around about, my birthday's in 1971. So when I turned 29 in 2000, right before, in fact, I was supposed to fly back like a week after 9/11 or something from New York to LA, because I had gotten my first series regular job on a show called The Division, and I was paired. We were cops, and I was paired with Taraji P. Henson, of all people. We got the job at the same time, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't come home. I can't fly. Like, what's happening? Like, but we worked it out, and they moved it. Obviously, that was a ridiculous, terrible time too, but they worked it out, and I did that job for 3 years, and then I got these other things along with it. So it was like, at that point, I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this.
Yeah, Taraji P. Henson, I'd stay too.
My credit cards, everything that I've been looking at the last 5 years, I'm like, sorry, Mr. MasterCard, and sorry, you happened to discover, here's some money.
Here's a little bit. Here's a little bit.
I'll give you some.
Or running into Taraji P. Henson, I'd stay too and hang around. And
Taraji is amazing. Like it was
Yeah.
so funny. The story goes that we auditioned together, and they were trying to pair us off with who was going to be with who, and we both did a good job in the audition. But I said to Taraji, I was like, I think we're going to get this job. Like she had done, I don't know, maybe Baby Boy or something. Like she had done something, but not much, and I had done some stuff, but not much, and I don't know. So we were walking out of the audition together, and she gets in her car. She's like, "Well, nice to meet you. Fingers crossed." I said, "Cool," and her car won't start, and I was like. So I was sticking around. It wasn't like hanging around. It was just like, all right, you okay? Like, all right. She goes, no, it's not. I said, uh-oh, like, where do you live? She said, well, I got to pick up my kid from school and this and that. I said, oh, are you at AAA? Like, what's going on? So I basically gave her a ride home because we lived kind of in the same part of town. And I was like, I'm going that way if you want to ride. Like, I know you don't know me from the hole in the wall. So we've been friends ever since, and I'm only thrilled for her success because it's, she's worth it.
The relationships we make over the years, man.
That's what I'm saying, man. It takes a little luck and a lot of like being nice to people, and the rest of it comes naturally sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you got Mad Men. You were there for, what was it, 9 years?
9 years, 8 seasons, but 9 years. Yeah, it was a long time.
That's a long time. How did you maintain being so healthy and fit throughout with all the smoking and that can't be real.
No, it's not real. If it was real, I'd be dead. For sure. But it's like anything else. It's a grind. You have to it's like being a pro athlete. It's like being a Broadway singer. It's like being a dancer. Whatever it is, you got to prepare your body for what's coming at it. And I didn't, it wasn't without repercussions on my body. Like I lost my voice, I had to get surgery on my throat. Like there was a lot of stuff that I had to go through, but it's a process. No one can prepare you for it. It's not unlike what we're going through now. Like if everybody knew what COVID was going to be, we could be ready to handle it, but no one knows. So we're just all like kind of scrambling and trying to pick up stuff and who knows. But if you operate under the thought that okay, I got this much work to do, I got to work through it, and during the middle portion of Mad Men for me, I got a lot of other jobs too. So I was doing Bridesmaids, and I was doing 30 Rock, and I was doing SNL, and I was so all this stuff was kind of happening all at once, and it was like, how much is too much? Right. Well, you got to let your body know, and it's so your body will let you know. I mean to say, and you have to pay attention to it, or you get burned out, or even worse. So when we've all seen examples of what even worse looks like. So it's a challenge. I mean, it really is. People think, oh, acting's easy, you better die. But you come do it. Tell me how easy.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It's definitely not easy. What would be your favorite of the two? Would it be movies, TV?
They're so different. And I think it really depends on the project and also the people you're working with, because everybody knows if you've got a couple coworkers that you do not vibe with, that 8-hour day turns into a 14-hour day pretty quick.
Yeah.
And if you got people that you love working with that know what they're doing and everybody's happy, then that 8-hour day seems like it's over in 30 minutes. Part of why I really liked my experience on 30 Rock was, and I basically knew Jack McBrayer. That's the only person that I knew going into that. But then I got to meet Tina and Robert, Grizz, all these folks on the show, Beth McCarthy Miller, all these guys. I'd met Jane before, but I didn't really know her. And it was like Alec. I mean, it was such a fun place to work, even though the work was really hard.
Yeah.
There was a lot of technical aspects to it. Comedy's not easy. It's not. It's like
no, it's not.
It just is what it is. And but when you're in good hands, like you are with Tina and Robert and Lauren and Kristen Wiig, fill in the blank with the people that I've worked with on the comedy side, it becomes so much easier and so much more fun. And that's another like lesson. It's just like, if you're not having fun doing something, you should probably reevaluate what you're doing.
Exactly.
Well, you definitely make the comedy look effortless, because you crack me up, man.
Yeah. And I'll never forget the first day I was on 30 Rock. I think I might have told you this story, Chris, but like first day, and I'd done my fitting or whatever, and I guess I was there, and they said, well, they're serving lunch at the things back at Silver Cup. And they're serving lunch. Like, do you want to have lunch? And I said, oh, sure, I'm here. I'm waiting on a car to take me back to wherever. So it's like the first day at school at the cafeteria, and you got your tray, and you just don't know anybody, and you're kind of like,
you don't know where to sit.
Who do I sit with? What table is the pool table? I don't want to be in the wrong. And I get my food on the tray, and I see Jack McBrayer, and he's sitting. He goes, "Come over, sit down." I said, "Okay, I'll sit down." And Tracy comes and sits down, and he says, "Who are you?"
Who are you?
Who are you? You the director? No, Tracy, I'm John. It's nice to meet you. I'm playing Drew. Blah, blah, blah. We didn't have any scenes together. It was okay. Do you know who my biological mother is? And I said, no, I don't. I'm sure you've heard the story a million times. I said, no, Tracy, I don't. Said, Leslie Uggams.
Do you know who my biological mother is?
Yeah. And then he immediately, I haven't even like eaten my first like thing of like anything. He says, do you know who my biological father is? I said, no, Tracy, I don't. He goes, Burt Bacharach. Okay, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But like, I love seeing you, especially like with Tina, with Amy, with just so many of Maya Rudolph, like everyone. So when it comes to these roles, because you are a pleasant surprise in Bridesmaids, I have to tell you. Are these roles designed for you, or do they call you and like, hey John, I got something else for you, or do you audition?
Yeah, Grizz, you mentioned the sort of king of cameos, but like once I started to like, I hosted SNL, I think it was in 2008 or 2009, I can't remember which year, but that's immediately what I got 30 Rock off of, and I did that right afterwards. It must have been 2008 because Obama just got elected, so it was that like election cycle, and then I got to meet Tina and Robert, and I got to meet everybody on SNL, which at that time was Bill Hader and Andy Samberg and Kristen Wiig and Maya and Amy and that whole crowd. And then they were kind of like, "Oh, you're okay," and then it was like, "Okay, if you're okay, then we'll use you the next time for the next thing that we might need." And it snowballed into that thing, and I was like a 8th grader. I was just like, what can I do? Like, I don't care. Like, help me. I'll do anything. I don't even care. Like, I just want to hang out. You guys are all fun and funny, and this is such a fun experience. I'll just do it. So that kind of like ruled my job choosing path for quite a few years of just like, will it be fun? Will it be with people that I know and like? I don't care. I don't need the money. I didn't at that point. I still don't. It's like, I'm making enough money. I'm fine. I don't need 5 houses and 10 cars. I'm good. Yeah. So it was like, just do what you like and wake up in the morning and remember the last day, how fun it was, you know?
Yeah. When I saw you on Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt, I was like, of course, he's in the bunker. Of course.
Robert and Tina pitched that show to me, and they were like, so we want you to be in this show. And I said, well, okay, I don't know if I can do it. I'm not allowed to, like, to be a person in another show, like a lead in another show. So no, we worked it out. It's all good. Like, they said, let us pitch it to you. I was like, cool. And they came over to my apartment, and I was like, so what is it? They're like, okay, remember that guy that kept those women in the bunker in Ohio? And I was like, wait, what?
What's happening?
What are you talking about? And why is this a comedy? They were like, no, just trust me. It's going to be really good. And I was like, okay. I'll do it. And I saw a script, and I read the script, and I realized it was obviously very funny.
Yes, it is.
If you trust those guys, as you know, Grizz, like they're going to deliver funny stuff for you.
Yeah.
And I went through during the pandemic. I watched about 4 seasons back to back of 30 Rock. I just like, man, that holds up so good because it's so all the characters, everyone in it, all the guest stars, so funny, and the jokes are just nonstop. And when you're sitting there wondering like when the next day you're going to be able to go outside and walk your dog is, then you think like maybe something funny would be nice to like take my mind off it. Right?
Yeah.
She got me watching Perfect Strangers, and
wow.
I was having a bad day, and then she was like, I don't even know how we got on the subject, but she was like, "Oh, Perfect Strangers."
It's my happy place.
And then when I heard the theme song, all this joy just entered my body, and I just had the happy face for like no reason. But
there's no drug that you can do that takes that like do that to you. It really is. It's like listening to Cheers or whatever. Like for me, I remember when I used to come over from school, like in St. Louis, it was like the reruns of old sitcoms would start up at like 4 o'clock or whatever, like on the independent station. So it was like Happy Days, What's Happening, the Jeffersons, and like I don't know, Fish or something, but like whatever it was just like 4 sitcoms between the 4 o'clock hour and the 6 o'clock hour before the local news, and then that's all you did was watch that. But like for me, like the theme song to What's Happening, which is such an amazing like same deal. Like I dare you to listen to that song and I smile. Like, it's impossible.
I watch it all the time on Roku TV. I watch it all the time.
I could be wrong, but I think Quincy Jones wrote that, but I could be wrong.
Wow. So with, the pandemic and everything that's going on, are you considering doing more voiceover work? Because you have such a profound, amazing, distinctive voice. I spotted you at Minions. I knew that was you.
It's interesting you say that because I've signed on to do a couple of kind of voiceover related things, one of which is a podcast, like a true crime podcast, but it's not like reporting. It's kind of I don't even know how you describe it, like acting, I guess, but it's based on true stories that have happened in the history of America about these crimes, and it's called American Hostage, and they're basically about these kind of hostage stories. One of which I had never heard of. Which took place in the 70s in Indianapolis, and I don't want to like spoil it, but like it's a pretty intense, cool. I mean, all I've been doing is listening to podcasts, like most of us, because what else is there to do? Right. But this one has a chance to be pretty cool, and so I hope it's like. So anyway, yes. Short answer is yes. I am doing a lot more voice stuff. But I also, fortunately, in my house in LA, I live like 5 minutes from a recording studio, and it's that is the one thing that we can do that's socially distant, and we just wear a mask until you get into the booth, and then you close the door, and then you're good.
Yeah.
So how was it riding with Jay Leno in the 1955 Goldwing?
That was car, man. I'm telling you, I couldn't believe he let me drive it. That car's worth like almost $500,000, by the way. Wow. Because there's not that many of them left, and it's in perfect shape. And they asked me before I agreed to do the show, because they asked me to do a show. I was like, oh my God, I love cars. Jay's the nicest guy in the world. Like, sure. And they said, what's your dream car? Like, all of the cars in the world, what do you think? And I just sent back a picture of like that car. And they said, oh, that's interesting. Good to know. I said, okay. and then he was driving. We're both big guys. Like, I mean, we're not as big as you girls, but like Jay goes about 6'3", 6'4", couple hundred, and I'm 6'2", 210. And they didn't build cars back then for big boys. They built them for like tiny little Europeans. So we kind of had to wedge ourselves into this car and close the gull wing doors and then eventually he was like, "You want to drive it?" And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is you're handing me the keys to like a lot, like the bank. Like, here you go. And we're driving around the streets of Burbank, and it was just like, it was awesome. Like, it was so fun.
Felt like James Bond.
I got to tell you, it's such a cool car. And there's nothing like those 50s and 60s cars. They just feel different and look different. And all the bells and whistles and little buttons are all chromed out. And it's like, it's so cool. It's just so cool. And you're right. It feels like James Bond. I feel like you can hit a switch and like pop the dude out next to you and shoot something. It's awesome.
So do you like the more serious roles or the more funnier roles?
Well, I'm lucky enough that I get to do both. Like, a lot of people kind of get pigeonholed into one or the other, or they don't have credibility or whatever, but I'm happy that I get to do both. Like, this one's really serious that I'm working on now in Detroit here, but then hopefully I'll get to do some more comedy. I'm rebooting Fletch. That's coming out. That'll be shooting in early next year. So I'll get to do that and hopefully see where the dust falls on that. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm working with Tina. Hopefully I'm working with Tina on a project that's not a comedy. It's more of a kind of a mystery. So look, man, again, I can't tell you guys, I wake up every morning and thank my lucky stars because I get to do what I love to do, and some idiot pays me for it.
Anything juicy for Top Gun 2?
Well, I'll tell you what, I saw it finally. I got to see it. And the movie is like a walking high five. I mean, it's just unreal. It's such a great combination of like the perfect amount of nostalgia for the first one, and then the continuation of the story of Tom Cruise's character Maverick, obviously, of like where he is in life and what he's doing, and then the action in it is unreal. Like I watched it and I had to pick my jaw off the floor. Like, it's all so cool. Like, you think back to watching the old one came out in '85. And you think back to watching it and you're like, oh man, it's so cool, the planes and the stuff. And then you like watch it and you're like, oh, okay, like from a 21st century standpoint, that was like some pretty basic stuff. And then you watch this and you're like, oh, okay, this is like next level. This is like next cool. Nice. So I'm very excited for people to see it. I'm also very excited. It was supposed to come out this summer, which obviously wasn't going to happen. Then they moved it to Christmas. And then I think they wisely decided, you know what, this is a summer movie. Like, this needs to be in the summertime. And so I think they wisely decided to shelve it until June or July of 2021. And I think that's the right call. But I can't wait for people to see it. It's really
cool. I'm definitely ready to see it. So a couple of quick questions before we get out here. Some of the people that you look up into the business, past and present.
Well, I've had the good fortune to work with a lot of them, which is through no fault of anyone other than dumb luck. One of them is Jeff Bridges, who I hope is feeling better because I know he was recently diagnosed with an issue, and I'm not ready to lose another legend over this summer. That's enough.
Yeah.
In fact, I got to meet and speak to and become buds with Alex Trebek, who we just lost. So I'm done with people dying. That's enough with that. But Jeff Bridges, I got to work with on a film, and he's one of the nicest guys. He's so plugged into his creativity, and he's generous. He shares everything with you. He's a beautiful photographer. Gave me a book of his photographs that he made. He literally made the book and gave it to us after the project. And just behind the scenes stuff, just cool stuff. Obviously Tina and Robert and Lauren Michaels, like those people I've looked up to for varying amounts of years. Tom Cruise, like, I mean, I can't, when I walked on set the first day on Top Gun, Tom Cruise is like, John, hey. I know, but I was still like, oh my God, Tom Cruise, like, and
okay.
Yeah,
I gotta put you back on the spot once again. I gotta put you on the spot here, buddy.
Okay.
the best Batman?
You know, I'll say something that's probably maybe it's not as unpopular as I think, but I'm gonna go Keaton.
No, listen, you're right, nail on the head. Keaton.
Another guy that I've looked up to for a long time, who I got to work with, and I got to like sit in a bar and watch football with, and he's the nicest guy, and I really liked his work in the 80s and everything, but that first Batman was so good.
Yeah.
By the way, it holds up. It's still good.
Still to this day.
Prince soundtrack, Kim Basinger, Robert Wool, everybody in it's good. Nicholson knocks it out of the park. Like it was really good, and I kind of missed those. Maybe they're coming back with the Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool and stuff, but I kind of miss when superhero movies were like fun, not like
so serious. So serious, yeah. That's what's up. My two favorite Batmans is Keaton and Ben Affleck. Those are my two favorites.
Very nice. Well, Ben Affleck's another person that I got to work with who I've looked up to for years. And, he's a contemporary of mine, and I got to watch him go through his career and then switch careers and become an amazing director and win Academy Awards. And it's just so impressive. Like there are a lot of people in this business that if you pay attention, you can learn a lot from, and he's definitely one.
Yeah. So for the underdog that's sitting home, he has a movie screen that he wrote, or he has a bunch of ideas and people's telling him no, and he's just afraid. And do you have any advice for the underdog?
I mean, I think as well as anybody, but you got to hear no a lot before you hear yes.
Definitely.
There's only the very, very, very few, most fortunate of us hear yes on the first time. And I remember when I moved out to LA and I went to my first audition, and I looked around the room and I was like, well, I recognize that guy and that guy and that guy and that guy, and they all kind of look like me. Well, I guess I'm fucked. And on that particular audition, I was. But it took quite a few more before I started finally getting some traction. And then you just got to stick to it. I mean, you got to listen to yourself. You got to listen to the people around you. You got to be grateful. You got to be humble. I mean, if there's anything that we can take away from the nonsense of the last 4 years, is that you can survive for a while on bravado and bullshit and all this kind of macho posturing and shit. But at the end of the day, it takes like a truly humble human being to go like, wait a minute, we have to if we're going to last any longer and not just burn out, we got to do it this way. So, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Listen, you need a tremendous amount of self-awareness and positivity, and I don't know, I don't even know what the word is, but the ability to kind of pump yourself up, because again, you're going to hear no a million times.
Yeah.
But it also needs to come with a dose of slow your roll, have a little humility, and it'll go along.
It's going to come in time. It's going to come in time.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Underdog. We appreciate you. Thank you so
sorry
much,
I
sir.
was late. I love that graphic, by the way. Underdog was one of my favorite cartoons back in the day.
Yeah, one of mine too.
Loved it.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. I appreciate it. Much love to you. Much success, man. I wish you all the best.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Great seeing you.
Thank you, John.
And before you leave, just can you say Jon Hamm is hanging out with the Underdog?
Hi, I'm Jon Hamm, and I'm hanging out with the Underdogs.
Thank you so much, sir.
Let me do that again, because I said Underdogs plural. I should say Underdog, right?
Yeah.
Jon Hamm is hanging out with the Underdog.
Thank you so much, guys. All right, guys.
Bye. Hold on, let me end it.